Hello, I hope you're doing well today. My name is Ian Green, and I'm the musician for Music Dreams and also for Ian J. Green. And it's my pleasure today to be here to describe part 7 of Unit 9 of another interval tutorial. And today, what we're going to be discussing is how to create intervals below a given note. So let's go over to a shared screen here, and I will describe what is involved. Now, of course, the various tutorials that have occurred up until this point and have been published, and all the information that we have on intervals mostly relates to how to create an interval from a bottom note and then count up to the top note. Even when we invert intervals, we still check the bottom note to get the spacing and find the correct quality and number for each interval. But when we create intervals below a given note, this is a little bit different. The same principles occur, but what you want to do is keep the top note the same and then create the bottom note. So just like we would when we count up from the bottom note of an interval up to the top note to find all the spacing between the notes, we count every line and space going up. When we draw intervals where the new note that we have to write is below the given note, of course, we have to count below. The same idea, down every line and space until we get to the correct number. Now, the same principle occurs as well, where if we start on a note, we count that as number 1, and then just keep counting all the way until we get to the number we want. So if we want to draw a fourth below G, you would count 1, 2, 3, 4 notes, and then draw a D. Now, depending on the quality of the interval that you want to create, the rest of the processing for labeling and creating intervals when you have to write them below a given note are the same as if you were to write them above. So as soon as you have the spacing correct by counting down to find the new note that you need to write, then the rest of the solution should be organized by using the bottom note to gauge the rest of your answer. If you need to find a diminished fifth or a diminished fourth in this case or whatever. But the important thing is, just like we've done with other examples, we were always given the bottom note and we have to change the top note. In this particular case, when the interval is written below a given note, we have to change the bottom note. We can't change the top note. So if a G is given and then we need to change the bottom note to make it something else, we have to change only the bottom note, not the G to something else. So that's where, if we want to go from a perfect interval to an augmented interval, we don't change the G to a G sharp. We keep the G because that's the given note. That's the note that we have to work from. We have to then change the bottom note instead. So the important thing here is to start on the starting note, count down every line and space to get the correct answer and spacing of the note. Then use the bottom note to gauge the size and the quality, because you still have to find a scale that these notes are related to, and the best way to do that is to use the bottom note that you've written. From there, then if you need to change it to an augmented interval or a diminished interval or minor or something else, then you always change the accidentals of the bottom note because that's the note that you are primarily using in writing. Let's work on an example together. If we want to start on D and we want to create a major sixth, we would count 6 notes down. D, C, B, A, G, F. So that would be the correct answer here. 6 notes away would be F. Now what we want to do is think of F major and match D to see if that is in fact a major sixth. And in this case it is. The scale of B flat, the key signature of B flat is in the scale of F major. So therefore this is in fact a major sixth. But let's say that we were given a minor sixth, just for instance as a demonstration. But we still use the same notes to count to find that this is a sixth from F to D. Now what we want to do is make that interval smaller but keep the F name, the note name, and then make that note smaller by raising F to F sharp. By doing that, we've actually created a smaller interval, but not changed the name of the top note. We've changed the name of the bottom note by adding an accidental. So instead of going from F to D, we now move in from F sharp to D. So the size or quality is the same, but just like we had in a previous tutorial where we talked about the charts of how to change intervals, this makes things a little bit more straightforward to help see how the top note stays the same, but the accidentals of the bottom note, that's the part that has to change. So I do hope this tutorial is helpful for you. Thank you so very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time for another lesson. Bye for now.